the harness half hour. In fact, now we'll start off with the harness headlines for the show, the 4th of October. Huey Green, of course, was a winner of the Spring Cup on Friday night, driven by Maurice McKendry for Brian Hughes. Second was the Faithful, and third, No Doctor Needed. DG Jones Cup on Sunday was taken out by Harry Soul at Motu Carrara. We've had the latest Cup and Dominion rankings released just this morning. Have Faith in Me still first in the Cup rankings. Collector Guinness out of the nominations there. Expressive Victor Jumps, Brilliant Strike. Maverick and Louis Risk jump up over Did You Make 'Em Bolt in the rankings. Dominion-wise, Harry Soul, a big mover following his win on Sunday. We've seen Bordeaux make another decent leap. Reel Me In moves up at the back of that big Auckland win. Springbank Eden jumps a couple of spots for its easy win on Saturday. Bodine Boaz, a one in WA, stormed home to win the Navy Cup at Gloucester Park on Friday. Full steam ahead to the Inter-Dominions now, starting on the 25th of November. Today at the Chertsey Trials, we see Titan Banner, also Habibti and Markula featuring there. And Jeff and Jude Knight currently on 199 training wins in their partnership, so they're looking to pick up win 200. So that is our harness headlines for today, the harness half hour. And joining us on the show is Northern harness trainer Brian Hughes. Brian, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
now,
yeah,
of course.
Sorry, Jess. No, the far away one. Yeah, sorry. Go on.
No worries, no worries. All right, Huey Green, well done at his win in the Spring Cup. How was he pulled up?
Oh, yeah, no, he's pulled up really good, Jess. Yeah, no, just the way he sort of seems, he ate up everything that night, and, you know, it's really all visual air's taken no effect.
Wonderful. Okay, of course, he's had 10 wins in his career. He made a wonderful start off the 10 metres. It was almost like he started off the front with those manners.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, he's actually always been real good off the from the stand. Like in the Auckland Cup, he led. And, you know, touch wood, I mean, every standing start he's had, he's been a great beginner. Yeah, I heard one of the guys say the other night he might not be that great a beginner, but I don't know where he got that from.
Well, he certainly proved them wrong in that race. Of course, Brian, he's not nominated for the New Zealand Cup this year. I understand all of his racing will be in the north this season. Is that right?
Well, just at this stage, yes. I mean, there are races in Australia and all that sort of thing. So, I mean, we just thought, we'll see how he comes up. He had a knee operation for a chip in his knee, and we just thought, we'll see how he comes up. We didn't bother nominating for the Cup. He's got the Auckland Cup, and then you've got a choice of races in Australia when the time comes.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, being out of Alta Serena, Brian, do you think there's a little soft spot with the Connections wanting to get him to the Cup, given she placed in it?
Just hang on, sorry, I didn't hear because we've got a plane just going over. Sorry.
Look, that's all right. We can deal with those things here with radio. Brian, he's out of Alta Serena. She finished, of course, second in a New Zealand Cup. Do you think long-term that's a goal for the Connections to get him there too?
Oh, yeah, there'd be no reason all going well. He couldn't go down there next year, no. Yeah, exactly
Okay.
right, yeah.
All right. In terms of the type of horse he is, he looks like quite a big lump of a horse, beautifully put together. But what's he like to deal with on a personal basis?
Oh, he's pretty good, but I mean, he's probably very much like everything out of that particular mare. I mean, probably he's the best of a lot of them, but because everything else apart from him up until now, she's always had fillies.
Right.
And the fillies have had more of her temperament because she was always a handful. And this guy, he's got a mind of his own, but you can always work around those things.
Okay, and obviously he's got a pretty good turn of foot. To see the track officially was slushy on Friday night, Brian, but they still came home in 55.3.
Yeah.
So he's got a pretty big motor on him.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he probably needs a big motor for the size horse he is, but yeah, he does seem to have a pretty big motor on him. And you know, when he races, he comes back in. He sort of never seems to be overly exhausted or anything like that. And for the size of him, he's a real athletic sort of a horse.
Mm. Yeah. Well, he's lovely looking, as we say, by Art Major out of Alta Serena. Where will he head to next, Brian? When will we see him race next?
Jesse will go to that race, not the Spring Cup, the Holmes DG race. Not this Friday, the following at Auckland.
Okay, all right.
And then probably after that, no definite just set plan, but we'll just see what we do.
Okay, all right. And so you've definitely put a line through the Cup, just confirming that for this year.
Yeah, well, we didn't do the pre-nomination, and I mean, hey, if you wanted to go into it now, I don't know, I'm just talking off the top of my head, but I know it's a fairly astronomical figure that you've got to pay to be in it now as a late payment.
Fair enough.
So, no, not at this stage, no.
Okay. Well, as you say, he's already run second in an Auckland Cup. It's right on your home doorstep, and you've got plenty of options for him for the rest of the season. In terms of the progeny of Alta Serena, I see she's left a full brother to Huey Green, and also she's in foal to Art Major again. Is that right?
No, she has. She's got a full sister that's a 2-year-old.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she's in foal to Art Major. She hasn't dropped her foal yet. She's a bit overdue. And then the other one's out of her. She's had a Christian Cullen filly, which is now a broodmare at 1-1 race. A Shield Maiden, another one by Better's Delight. Well, she's gone to Australia. She had a couple of starts, about 4 starts here. She ran a couple of seconds. She's actually lost a couple of foals. She had one born dead and another one that had a joint infection that died. So, she hasn't had a lot of luck as a broodmare, really.
So it's very special to see Huey Green doing the job for her.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
in terms of the rest...
connections and his name.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And very special for you to be involved with them as owners as well, Brian. I just wanted to quickly touch on the rest of your team. You had a win also with Naylor on Friday night. How many have you got in work at the moment, Brian?
Oh, yes, I don't do a big team. We're working about 13 at the moment. So that's enough. 30, so I'll probably end up doing about 15, but that's about sort of what we do. And most of them are all babies, apart from those ones that raced the other night. They're all 2-year-olds, just turned 2 now, so it's just a matter of going through them and seeing what we end up with.
Brilliant. Is there anything we should be taking note of, Brian, that's taken your eye or showing a bit of promise?
Well, I've got one. There was one here. He's not in work at the moment. We just give him a short break. But there was one, a half-brother to Agent Orange by Max Reed, that sort of seemed to go around quite well. But he's sort of still got to come back into work next time and step up to the next level. So 2-year-olds can do that. They, the one that you think's the worst can quite often end up the best.
Yeah, it gives you just enough hope to stay in this crazy racing game, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Hey, well, Brian, thank you so much for your time. I know you've got horses working and planes all over the show, so we'll let you get back to it. But thank you very much.
Far from the aerodrome, and you get the planes come over and you can't hear.
Yeah. Hey, okay. It adds to the excitement of live radio. Brian, thank you so very much for your time, and all the best for the rest of the season.
Okay, thanks very much, Jess. Righto, good. See you later.
Brian Hughes there, of course, trainer of Huey Green, and just great for Alta Serena to be leaving a type like him. And no New Zealand Cup this year, but of course some lofty targets ahead for him. Right, on the Harness Half Hour every week, we're going to be heading around the country, chatting to different harness clubs. This week we're chatting to Kerry Wells of Harness Racing Waikato. Kerry, how are things?
Good, thanks, Jess. How's yourself?
Very well, thank you. Into the new racing season, are things ticking along there?
Yeah, sure. We've had 4 meetings now since August, and as you're aware, we operate under the new points handicapping system that we're trialling in the northern part of the North Island, and I think generally it seems to be working okay. Like everything new, it has had a couple of teething problems, but yeah, and generally speaking, the feedback I get is pretty positive.
Wonderful. And I guess the main thing is if you're trying something new, at least you seem to be doing something.
Yeah, correct. There is no perfect handicapping system. I think we all know that. It's just a matter of finding one that most people believe is fair. And I mean, the system we had previous to this, we had the capabilities to write anything into it with the conditions, and but they thought it was time for a change up here, so we're trialling a new system, and let's go with it for a while.
I guess that as long as we're getting horses to the track and filling fields, that's the priority at the moment, isn't it?
Oh, no doubt about that. Yeah, I mean, don't have to be Einstein to work out that with breeding numbers decreasing every season, that eventually our raw product is going to get less and less. So what we've got, you've got to make sure they race as often as they can, and that's the idea of the new system, is to keep the horses going around and round for as long as possible, so that we get the optimisation of the turnover.
Yeah, well, we will follow it with interest, and as I say, at least something is being done to try and fix that problem. In terms of what's coming up in that neck of the woods, Kerry, you've got a big meeting coming up on Friday, the 21st of October, the annual Schools Challenge race meeting.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Every year we run this, and the last year it happened to coincide to a Friday night meeting, and this year it'll be coinciding with a Friday night meeting, so you can expect the teachers and their assistants that turn up to get a bit loose. They dress up in their costumes, and they certainly know how to party, that lot, I can tell you.
Oh, I'm sure they know there's no students there, so they can actually be themselves instead of having to watch their P's and Q's.
God knows what they used to look like when they did it on a Thursday night and turn up on Friday the next day.
I would imagine there'd be a fair few parents a bit worried after that, but at least it's a Friday. That's good.
There would have been no homework handed out.
I bet, absolutely, all marked. Bay of Plenty Harness Racing Club and Morrinsville Trotting Club members, Kerry, there's been a vote to amalgamate their clubs. Yeah,
this follows on from Harness Racing Conference of 2015, where there was a suggestion that clubs around the country regionalise and to sort of streamline costs a wee bit. We've got so many clubs operating now, so. Hey, we've been in the situation here at Cambridge where we've had 3 10-owned clubs. Originally there was 4, there was 5 in the old days. There used to be Matamata, Tiamutu, Cambridge, Morrinsville and Bay of Plenty. Of course, Matamata was an on-course only licence, and that went by, and then a few years ago the Tiamutu Club decided to amalgamate with the Cambridge Harness Racing Club, so then we became Cambridge Tiamutu Harness Racing Club, and then we changed our name a couple of years ago to Harness Racing Waikato, and now the other 2 tenant clubs here, which only race a couple of times a year. Last year, Morrinsville actually forfeited their racing licences. They handed them over to Cambridge, or to Harness Racing Waikato, as it is now called. And they've decided that, hey, it's probably best if we all hop in bed together, and so the members of those 2 clubs have now voted on 2 special meetings to wind their clubs up and join with Harness Racing Waikato. And at our AGM, the 15th of November, the members of Harness Racing Waikato will have a vote on it, whether to accept the members from these other 2 clubs, and I'm sure there'll be no issues there, and they will. And so we'll be starting afresh under a new name with a new committee, and it's like the name will be something like Waikato Bay of Plenty Harness or something like that anyway.
Oh, I guess that the idea is we've seen it in Southland too, Kerry, just streamlining things, as you say, making it cost efficient, so we can put that back into stakes and make things viable.
Well, sure, there'll only be 1 set of books produced every year, so we will only need for one accountancy fee, 1 audit fee, 1 set of insurances. So yeah, there'll be cost savings in that direction.
Okay, well, exciting times, and we will follow up with you, Kerry, after that meeting and see how things went. And just quickly, before we wrap up, of course, we've got feature racing coming up at Christmas with you. Yes,
Friday the 24th, I think it's a Wednesday this year, actually, the day meeting that we have on the 24th of December. We have 2 Group 2 events, our Trotters Flying Mile and then our 4 and 5-year-old Paces for Charity. They're both $50,000 events, 1 for each gate. And then the 6th of January, we have our $60,000 Waikato Flying Mile, hopefully. Just talking to Mr. Hughes. Huey Green will be here for that. It's a race that traditionally has been won by some great horses. Of course, Adore Me holds a track record, 151.69 of a couple of years ago. And the same day, on the 6th of January, we will have our Group 3 Flying Stakes for the Trotters and our Denny Johnson 3-year-old Guineas. I mean, this year the the winners of those 3 races are outstanding horses. Chase the Dream won the Guineas, Speeding Spur won the Trotters race, and the Orange Agent won the Flying Mile. So it's a pretty good resume for 3 horses.
Oh, is it what? Well, Kerry, thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up with you, of course, following that AGM and get some more updates from you. Good luck with the next few weeks anyway.
Yeah, thanks, Jess, and same to yourself.
Okay, so that's Kerry Wells from Harness Racing Waikato. Right, now we're turning our attention to the industry profile for the week. Every week we'll be chatting to someone from the industry and having a look at what their involvement is in the game. Today it's a pleasure to welcome onto the show co-breeder of Lazarus and Gavin Chin. Gavin, good morning.
Good morning, Jess.
Thank you so much for coming on. I know it's a little bit nerve-wracking for you, but you must be used to being in the spotlight now.
Oh, no. It's been a wonderful journey so far with Lazarus. I mean, for any breeder to have even having a start in a Group 1, it's a huge thrill, and let alone the six Group 4 or 5 Group 1s he's had so far. So yeah, no, it's a wonderful journey at the moment.
An amazing performance. Of course, you co-bred Lazarus with stud on Bloodstock. Gavin, firstly, where are you based in the country?
I'm based in Mosgiel, actually, a wee township just south of Dunedin.
Lovely, lovely. Well, you guys have had some amazing horses come out of the Otago region over the last couple of years. But in terms of the journey with Bethany, his dam, Lazarus's dam, how did you get involved with her?
Well, about 6 or 7 years ago, she was advertised on Stuart Valentine's website, and when I first saw it, I looked her up, and it was always a family that I always liked, and I remember when Paul Kerr used to train down here, and he had filly Star Bethlehem when she was amazingly fast filly. I think she won herself on the Oaks, and there was other members of family like Stars and Stripes and Light and Sound and horses like that, and I looked at her but at that time Stuart had a price on her, and I was way out of my price range, but I looked at it and I was still interested, but and a couple of weeks later it was advertised again, and I said, oh, hey, and with a reduced price. And I said, oh, hey, this could be something worthwhile pursuing. So had this discussion with my wife, and it sort of made an offer with her approval, and it went on from there.
And I bet your wife is very pleased you did.
Yes, she is very much indeed.
Okay, it's been a bit of a journey with Bethany too. I understand she hasn't had the best of luck in terms of missing and no returns.
No, we had her first 2 years were fantastic. She got in foal, basically first serve with Art Major and followed by Better's Delight, which produced Lazarus. Then we had a couple of years. We just couldn't get her in the foal at all, and so I sort of took a gamble and just moved her to a different place, with a different environment, hoping that she would get in foal, and which was I moved her to Donna Williamson and Timaru, and we got in foal first serve.
Wow.
Which
wow.
was Art Major, yeah.
Okay, and that's a yearling now called Art Standing, and I understand that horse is going to the sales?
Yes, it will be at this, definitely, yep.
Okay, and what's the interest been like? Have you had people calling you up already?
Not as far as I know of, but Donna Williamson will be preparing it in Timaru, and she's extremely happy with it.
Lovely, lovely. Of course, closer to sales time, that's when the phone will start ringing, I'm sure, Gavin.
Yes,
she's back in foal now, is she?
Yeah, she's in foal to American Ideal.
Okay. And have you got any thoughts about sending her back to Better's Delight, given it would be a foal?
Yeah, she's booked into Better's Delight for this season.
Wonderful. Okay, well, of course, the gods will have to align for her to get in foal. But as you say, it's a change of environment's really helped, and Donna does an amazing job, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. She looks after all my mares, and I've we've had a few foals down there.
Mm-hmm.
So we just keep to the true and trusted formula.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of your broodmare band, Gavin, do you breed a lot?
Well, sort of. It's basically a hobby that's just got out of control, really.
Right.
Yeah, so I've got about 5 or 6 broodmares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And has that grown since Lazarus?
Not really.
Right.
Well, sort of. I've retired a couple of mares, and I own Better to Be Bad. She was a 10-race winner, and I bred her as well. And so she's gone to the broodmare band, so she's just added on to the list of broodmares.
Wonderful. And of course, you've got one of the New Zealand Cup favourites in terms of Lazarus as a breeder. I guess, logically, the New Zealand Cup is the pinnacle for you as a breeder?
Well, when I first started breeding, I always sort of wanted to win the old DB Filly series, which was now the Neville R series. But never my wildest dream I'd be bred a New Zealand Cup favourite, or pre-Cup favourite at the moment anyway.
Yeah. And will you come to the race itself, Gavin?
At this stage, I'll definitely be coming up.
Wonderful. Well, it must be an amazing thrill, as you say. You just dream of getting a horse good enough to pick up a few wins. But what would you suggest to anyone that's listening at the moment that's maybe contemplated breeding as a hobby breeder?
Oh, just do it. Do it. Breeders, we're always constantly learning about breeding, and people who have never bred a horse before, just go out and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask anyone. I mean, I still ask questions to a lot of people, like even Brian West, people like Ken Mackay. And you're just constantly learning, getting ideas, and sometimes you also go with your gut feeling. And sometimes it pays off, and other times it doesn't.
Well, it's paid off over time for you now, Gavin. Thank you so very much for your time. It's a pleasure chatting to you and getting to learn a bit more about you, and certainly all the best for that second Tuesday in November.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure. Gavin Chin. So there you go. If you've never bred a horse before, or you're done it before and haven't had much luck, just get into it, because good horses can come from anywhere. And Gavin, of course, with Lazarus there and the Dan Bethany, you never know when your next champion might be produced. Right, so we'll be doing that every week, having a chat to different industry people around New Zealand and the world. But now, as part of our regular show, we're going to be chatting to bookmaker Richard Wilson. Richard, good morning.
Good morning, Jess.
Good morning. Yeah, it's usually evening for us, isn't it?
Don't often
Sorry
say
to
that,
get you out of bed so early. I know you're on a day off, so we're getting you on board each week, of course, leading into the Cup and the Dominion. We've got the future books open, but wanted to chat to you about the last week or so in terms of major bets. We saw a bit of money going into the Spring Cup last week.
That's right. Yeah, there was 3 South Island meetings and Auckland as well. We did all right at Auckland, but the 3 South Island meetings, so South Island punters in particular, had a good week. Now, on started off on Thursday, of course, with Yankee Tara from that stable, Stephen McRae. Right from when we opened on the Wednesday night, he was very heavily backed, 2,800 at the opening price of 480. Set alarm bells off pretty quickly. That was at 7:06. Of course, we had the fire alarm on Wednesday, so we were an hour later opening, and it didn't stop there. The last bet, or one of the last bets, decent bets, was 2,000 at 250. So Yankee Tara was a terrible result for us. It didn't stop there. Mongolian Hero, 7,000 at $10,000 at $1.70 was the biggest bet of the night. So then we moved on to Friday, and things improved greatly for us anyway. Opatama was the one that the punters did get, however. Opened at 420, closed around about the $3 mark, I think it was. There was bets 2,000 at 420, 1,000 at 4, 1,000 at 360, 3,000 at 340, a couple of $1,000 bets at 330. It just kept on coming, and he was too good. The ones that they got that let them down perhaps were Ra Reza, bets of 2,000 and 3,000 around the $2 mark, and Blackguard's Corner was heavily backed fresh up, 2,500 at $1.80, 10,000 at $1.80, 5,000 at $1.70, and 1,500 at $1.70, all coming unstuck there. So that helped us out immensely. And then Saturday down at Invercargill, there was a couple of good things that we opened up too long there. Springback Eden opened at $3.40, $1,000 and $800 on early on at $3.40, another $900 at $3.20, $1,400 at $2.40, and he just bolted in and close to track record time there too. So Springback Eden, one to watch out for coming up. They also got us on the Drivers' Challenge, 2,000 on Dexter Dunn at $3. That wasn't good for us. Dexter got 3 wins, I think it was. Mm-hmm. El Denario, the roughie, he wasn't that good for us either. There was bets of 50 at 41, 100 at 31, and 100 at 26. So that should have been good for us, but it wasn't. And the only one they really got wrong was the Honey Badger, $2,500 bets at both $1.95 and $1.80, 1,700 at $1.50, and another 1,800 at $1.50 where it went amiss there.
Okay, so even Stevens pretty much in terms of wins and losses in those big bets over the week, Richard. Of course, we've got the futures markets out for the Cup and the Dominion. Have we seen any movement there?
Yeah, in the Cup, it's quite interesting. In the Cup, there's a bit of a momentum shift. It was all with Have Faith in Me, but it shifted towards Lazarus after his sort of booming late finish last week, fresh up. We moved him into favourite, and straight away there's a $500 bet at the new price, $270. But he's sort of surging ahead a little bit in the multi bets as well. So that's where the shift has been. There hasn't been any huge bets this week, but it's sort of tending towards Lazarus. He's got there's around about 250 multis on each of them. And there's individual bets. There's 57 on Lazarus and 47 on Have Faith in Me.
Okay, and the Dominions, of course, we saw Reel Me In successful last week. Was there any money around him after that?
Yeah, no, Reel Me In is a funny horse. We can't really sort of work out that he doesn't seem to have a very big fan base out there. Nobody really wanted to back him last week. He was a huge drifter. Got the job done, but no one's really looked at him in the Dominion at all. So at this stage, I think he'll be running for us. He hasn't got many fans at all.
All right. Well, we'll see closer to Dominion time, of course, and that money starts coming into the final field market. Richard, thank you so much for your time. Of course, a busy week for you guys with the Canterbury Classic and the Canterbury Trotting Cup coming up, so you'll be on the ball there. Yeah,
the nominations, it's a repeat of last week's race, virtually, isn't it? And so it should be another good guide. A bit more fitness coming in for those Purdon runners, and it should be a great race, that one.
Looking forward to it. Hey, Richard, thank you so much. You go and enjoy the rest of your day off, and we'll catch you next Tuesday.
Good on you, Jess. Thank you.
Richard Wilson, our bookie, he'll be with us every week with the updates and the big bets of the week. Right, that's our interview section of the show over for the week. But as part of the show, we're going to go through some horses to follow and also meetings for the week. So I've done a bit of a ring around our callers in New Zealand to find horses that they're tipping out for us to follow. So starting off in the south with Dave McDonald, a couple of horses to follow for him. The first, a 3-year-old filly named Lady Danger. He says she looks smart and look for her soon. So Lady Danger, and also Captain Dolmio, who looks ready to roll home in 54.5 recently at the workouts. Captain Dolmio. Aaron White has tipped out Christina. Now she's by Rock and Roll Hanover out of the Group 1 winner, of course, Laura Ella. She's a half-sister to Express Stride. She won her qualifier at Alexandra Park and is in race 7 on Friday at Alexandra Park. Christina. Matt Cross has tipped out Shadow Galleon. Shadow Galleon is heading towards Methven next start. Cameron Shaw, of course, calling the workouts up in the north. He's tipped Step Out from the Telford Garlic team. Step Up, I should say, from the Telford Garlic team. And Jason Tees has tipped Paramount Dream to follow. Our meetings this week, Thursday night, we see Forbury Park, of course, featuring Heat 3 of the NRA Messiah Stakes. That's Thursday, Forbury. Friday at Addington, we've got the Group 2 Canterbury Classic, also the Group 3 Canterbury Park Trotting Cup. Alexandra Park, the meeting on Friday, featuring Kai Valley Blur, of course, Dominion nominee, and Brent Lilly's brought it over for a start in race number 6. And Sunday, we do have Far Lap Raceway, Timaru. Full fields on hrnz.co.nz. You can also catch replays of this show every week on hrnz.co.nz. Thanks to Harness Racing New Zealand for their support, and of course to our guests today. We had Brian Hughes, Kerry Wells, Gavin Chin, Richard Wilson, and we'll be all back again next Tuesday to do it here with the Harness Half Hour with Jess Smith. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning